deer in the back. I mean, I have deer, fox, raccoon, skunks, squirrels, chipmunks. I mean, I got it all at the house. And it's so funny because, like, when he sees one of these animals, like, he'll full on charge until he gets the end of his lead, and then he's just hyper fixated on it. And, like, he just wants to get, like, it's funny because, like, when he sees deer, like, he doesn't even bark. Like, he's just like, what is that?
Right.
But then, like, when he sees, like, squirrel and, like, smaller game, like, it's weird because he's a retriever. He's not a pointing dog.
Right.
But he will literally watch a squirrel go up a tree. He will go to that tree. He will raise a paw. His tail will go straight, and he will just stare at it.
Right.
And I'm not even with him. He's just doing this, like, on his own outside. And I'm like, if I could harness that, like, it would be phenomenal. I just have no idea how to do it. And it would be, like, awesome to be able to, like, take him out and do some of the stuff that, you know, I already enjoy.
Right.
But, like, the biggest, like, that's the baby steps that, like, I don't really know how to take. And, like, teaching them how, like, okay, I'm going to take your, like, leash off. And you're going to stay here or you're going to go that way, but I know you're going to come back. Whereas, like, now... Like,
you start with on the leash. You, like, with a long lead, you know what I mean? And then you slowly work your way off. Like, I use electronic collar on my dog.
That's something I need to...
Which you don't want to jump straight into that. You want to have some groundwork leading up to that, obviously. Because you don't want to just start shocking him like crazy. He doesn't know what the hell's going on. But
So what's the importance of having that leash work?
The leash work, you want to work up to the e-collar, I guess. You would start with a distance with just a treat, just a hand to the... having him come tap your... hand with his nose every time and give him a treat. And then you'd start off farther and farther distances and then slowly work off lead, and then you'd mix like vibrate on with that. And then when he tapped your hand with it, you turn off the vibrate. So he associates us with that stimulant coming off when you touch the...
So it's you teaching the dog that these are my commands,
right,
but you're doing the work with me,
mm-hmm.
I think.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, like right now, like I just went on a hike, you know, a couple of days ago with a friend of mine because we had, believe it or not, nice spring weather here in Ohio. And we went for, you know, it's a few mile hike. And, you know, like I always feel bad because like I'll usually like leave like the dog at home because when I go out, like it's kind of hard to enjoy a hike when you have, I mean, he's a year and a half old. He's still a puppy.
Right.
He's got so much energy. And when I take him out, like he's gung-ho. As soon as we get out, like even if I just like, because whenever I take him on walks, like I have a harness I put on him. And as soon as I pull the harness out of the cabinet, he was like, let's go. We're going somewhere. I'm in. I don't care where it is. 100%. Let's go. And then we get to this park, and I put him on his leash, and he jumps out of the truck, and instantly he was like, I have to smell everything right now. Like, I want to know what 100 yards that way smells like right now. And it's like, dude, I can't. The whole time, like, the next day, like, this sounds so sad, but like, the next day, like, my shoulder actually hurt the next day. And, like, I thought I did something at work. And then I realized, I'm like, no, it was my dog. Like, he literally drugged me that entire hike. And I'm like, if I could just get him to where, because the leash that I have for him, I mean, it's only like 4 foot long. It's not a crazy leash. Like, I don't have one of those ones that like retracts and everything.
Yeah.
Because like, if he had that much room, like, there's no way I could control him. But I'm trying to get him to the point where, like, when we go for a walk, I would love him to, like, if he's like a little bit ahead of me, I'm okay with that. But like, I don't want him to, like, there's no slack in the leash and he's like pulling me. I would just like him to walk with me.
Right.
But at the same time, like, the thing that I'm curious about, is that all training, or is that just like, hey, he's a young dog, like he has that energy? Like, I don't know. And like, another thing, like my friend brought up the other day is like, my dog's he's not neutered. Mm-hmm. And she's like, oh, you need to neuter him because then now he'll lose all his energy. And I'm like,
No.
well, I don't want that either. Because, like, I've met a lot of people.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, I may be wrong here, but a lot of people that I know that have labs that they got neutered, they get fat.
Oh yeah, that's a big thing. I'm not a proponent of neutering super early. A lot of these vets want you to neuter their dog like 6 months old.
Yeah.
And that's like, I mean, you're taking all the hormones away from them.
Exactly.
You're taking them when they're still a juvenile. Imagine if you were to take all your hormones away when you were 16 years old. You wouldn't develop properly. You know what I mean?
Throw hands.
It just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense to take all the hormones away. Like with my...
I never really...
But they will calm down a little bit after you neuter them.
Yeah, well, that's one thing. Like, I've heard so many people say...
Year and a half isn't too young to neuter them. I'd say year and a half's okay to neuter them. If you don't have any plans on breeding them or anything, year and a half's all right.
Like, that's one thing, like, I've contemplated because, I mean, he is a purebred black lab. And, I mean, he's a beautiful dog. But the thing is, it's like a lot of times when, like, people want to, like, neuter dogs nowadays, like, obviously, like, there's a paper trail. Like, you learn, the lineage of that dog. Well, when I adopted, him, he was 6 or 7 months old. And, I mean, mind you, at 6 or 7 months old, he was still pretty big dog. But it's like, I didn't know anything about him. I don't know where he came from. I don't know where the guy bought him. Like, I didn't have papers like that. So it's like, I mean, some people are okay with breeding a dog and they don't have papers, but at the same time, people that take it seriously, oh no, paper trail means everything to them. So like, that's one thing that, talking to my grandfather, because he used to breed, like purebred golden retrievers. And he's like, oh kid, he's like, you should breed him, like, with like his drive and everything. Like, he's a beautiful dog. You should do this. And then I got other people like, oh, you should neuter him because then he'll, calm down and everything. I'm like, I really don't know what I want to do because, like, I would love to have, puppies.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like, man, his energy levels are just exhausting sometimes.
Yeah, and that comes a lot with training. One thing I noticed is place training is huge. Making him sit in one place on his kennel for a certain amount of time and just rewarding him for that is what saved me with my hunting dog right now.
So do you have a place in your house to where you can go to your bed, go to your spot?
Yep.
So
but
I have that, like, kind of in with him. So a buddy of mine, his name's Brian, me and him used to hunt quite a bit, and he has 2 dogs. He has what was it called? I can't even remember the name of it. I'm sorry. But, like, when I went to his house, like, his dogs, they were really well trained. And, like, I just thought that I was fascinated by it. Because, he could tell them anything, and they would know exactly what he wanted. And one thing that I thought was really cool is whenever he would make their dinner, which, most people just give their dog kibble, but, like, he would, like, take, like, kibble, and then he would put in, like, coconut oil, and then he would put in like berries, and then he put in like an egg, and he put like hot water in it, and then he like mix it up, and he would set it down, and his dogs had to stay put. They couldn't move. They couldn't move, and then they would sit there, obedient as hell, just would not move, and then he would just go free, and as soon as he snapped and gave the command to free, they would walk to their bowls. And they knew which bowl was theirs. Yep. And I'm like, that is the coolest thing I've ever seen. So when I got my dog, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try that. I'm going to see if I can get my dog to do that. And I did. He actually responded to it. So now, like, in my kitchen, I have a rug that sits in front of my sink. And all I have to do is I go, and I point to that rug. He will go and he will sit on that rug. Same spot every time, and he won't move. And I will scoop his food, and I'll put it in his bowl. Well, now he needs water. So I'll go over to the sink. I'll walk past him, and I'll fill up water, and he stays put. And I'll go back, and I'll fill up his water, and then I'll put it back, and then I'll stand there, and I'll just stare at him. And he just makes eye contact with me. And then I just go like this, and he still doesn't move, and then just free. He goes straight to his food. And I'm like, that is so freaking neat to me. So, like, I know he has, like, he's trainable. I know he is.
Yep.
But it's just, and the same thing with, like, crate training. Like, I can tell him, hey, crate. He will beeline to the crate. Kyle has seen this. Like, he will go straight to his crate. And I've never like tried to train one of my dogs when I was a kid because we always had like family dogs, and I remember I couldn't get them to do anything. Like you'd be lucky. Like you said, sit. They would sit, but they didn't do it because you told them to. But you try to take it as a win. But like, yeah, that's what I was thinking. Good, yeah, good on you. No, like he's learned how to shake, and like if I switch hands, he will actually switch paws. He will lay down. He will sit. He will come up when I tell him to come up. He will come when I say come. He will, sit and wait for his food. He will fetch. He will stay. And I'm like, I've never had a dog that I actually taught some obedience to. So when it comes to teaching them about hunting, like I know like it's there and I can do it. It's just I don't know how to do it. You know what I mean?
It's more of just getting a mentor and just getting out there and doing it. I mean, I'd be more than happy to take you out and get some pigeons out there. You know
I would be ecstatic to try that.
Yep.
Because like I think he would be a very valuable asset when I go out. Not to mention it would just I think it would create even more than I already have with them, more of a bond where like me and him can share that stuff together. Yep. And especially if you go like small game hunting, like I know whenever I cook, like if I'm making like deer ground. Or I'm making, some back straps or whatever. Mm-hmm. When he smells that, he knows. He gets some. He knows that. Like, it's just me and him. Mm-hmm. So when I make that dinner, like, he knows. But he will sit there and he will wait until I give it to him. And, like, to go out in the field and actually, like, get a squirrel or something like that and be able to share that with him.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's something that, like, I'm looking forward to doing, like, in the future.
Right.
I think it would be a blast.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever heard the saying, an unspoken expectation is a premeditated resentment?
No.
So we incorporated that with training our dog, and like she obviously doesn't know, like right off the rip, what our expectations were. So we had to present her with our expectations because we wanted the end result to be X, right? So it was very choppy there in the beginning as Casey and I were first time dog owners as adults. So once we figured out how she learned, she taught us how to teach her. Which it sounds like your dog is very trainable. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't have any issues with the dog like that, especially with him listening to the food commands and your stuff out there. But it sounds like the dude's got to run.
Yeah. It's just knowing how to do it properly. That's where I'm lost. It's not that I don't think he can learn it. It's just I don't know how to teach it.
Yeah.
Just like, like whenever I teach some of my students, because I teach firearm classes, like I'll sit there and like I'll ask them like, hey, do you guys have any questions? There's crickets. And then, I'll bring up like, oh, hey, did you guys know about this? And they're like, oh, no, we didn't. And I'm like, see, that's just it. It's not that you don't have questions. You just don't know what questions to ask.
Right.
And that's kind of how I feel with him.
You don't know what you don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.